Hey, and welcome to another episode of the Social Strategy Mum podcast and live show. Today, it's just me. We've had some amazing guests, but I wanted to pop in with a little solo episode. I wanted to tell you a bit of a story about how this episode came about. And this episode, we're going to kind of delve into the mindset piece of doing business. And I want to share with you some of the mindset tools that I use on a daily or weekly basis to keep my mindset strong to be able to build my business. And if you've been around the Social Strategy Mum community, you would know that I talk quite a lot about mindset. And I talk a lot about the fact that we need a combination of mindset and strategy and support in order to be able to build our businesses, and particularly when it comes to things like launching and exploding our social media and all of those kinds of pieces. And so this mindset piece is something that I've been feeling more and more called to be talking about because it has been so pivotal to what has happened for me and what my journey has been over the last few months. And so I wanted to come on today and share some of those tools with you. But before I do, I want to just give you a little bit of a background, a little bit of information about what has happened over the last few months for me, and then talk about what I feel has been the catalyst for such amazing growth. So if we can just cast our minds back for a second, I'm going to take you back to February of this year. I was not getting the impact or the income in this business that I was looking for. I was struggling and I was frustrated and I was feeling like I just wasn't able to execute and get the results that I was looking for. And I really got to that point where I was like, I have spent a lot of time and money and effort building this business and I'm just not getting that back. And I got to that point where I was like, right, either I need to get that back or we're done here. And I had those few moments where I was like, what on earth am I doing? Like, is this even what I should be doing? Is it worth it? And it was really difficult to kind of be in that place and to sit with those emotions. And then the first week of March, I was away for a few days and I participated in a free challenge. And during the free challenge, my now coach encouraged us to write a letter to ourselves in 6 or 12 months' time. So basically what we were to do was to cast a vision for what we wanted our life to look like, what we wanted to have achieved, what we wanted our day-to-day to look like in a certain period of time. And so I wrote a letter to myself back then, and I dated it I think the first one that I dated 12 months out. So it was February 2021. And then subsequently, a couple of weeks later, I did another one and I set a date for the 30th of September. And basically, I outlined what I wanted my life to look like. And I cast this vision for what I wanted to have accomplished and what I wanted my day-to-day life to look like, how I wanted my business to look, how I wanted my personal life to look. And where I am sitting right now as I record this episode at the beginning of July, I have literally accomplished everything that I wrote in that letter to myself dated the 30th of September. Right now, my life looks like how that vision I created looked. And in a relatively short period of time. When I wrote that letter and I dated it the 30th of September, I really honestly thought that I was crazy to even think that I could accomplish all these things that I had written down. I wanted a 5-figure launch. I wanted consistent income months that would replace my job. I wanted to reduce my hours working at my job. And I really wanted to have impacted so many more amazing mums in business and helped them to explode their social media. They were the things I was looking for when it came to my business. And when it came to my personal life, I was looking for better boundaries. I was looking for increased depth in relationships, all of those kinds of things. And when I sat down a few days ago to take stock of where I had made it to and read that letter back, and we'll get more to that in a second, I realized that I had accomplished all of those things. And it was time to cast another vision. And this time I was going to be casting a vision that I could not even have imagined, ever have imagined I would be casting just those few months ago. Because some of the things that are on my vision for the second half of 2020, I didn't even know they were possible. I didn't even know that they would be things that would be on my radar. So I wanted to share that story with you and let you know how that has unfolded for me. And I want to have the opportunity to tell you about some of the daily and weekly practices that I have used in order to make that vision come to life. Okay, because it's all well and good to cast the vision, but we have to anchor the vision in practices that we are doing regularly to keep ourselves focused on that vision. Before I give you those things that I've been doing, I also need to say one more thing about casting a vision. And that is, we do not need to know the 10,000 step plan to that vision out in the distance. Okay. When I cast a vision for 5-figure launches, for consistent income months, to reduce my hours at work, all of those kinds of things, I had no idea how I was going to do that. I just knew what I wanted to accomplish. So when you do this, you have to be clear on what you want and what you are going to have, but you don't have to have the how. And then every day you have to anchor yourself to that vision and just take the next right step to get there. That is the key take-home message from me talking to you about this. We cast a vision and we solidify exactly what we want, exactly where we are going to be. And then we have unwavering faith that we are going to get there. But we don't have to know how. We don't have to know every step that we're going to go along the path. All we have to know is the one next step that we're going to take. It might be right, it might be wrong, it might take you in a different direction. That is all fine. But we just take the next step and then the next step and then the next step. And the way that I keep myself focused on that vision and anchored into that vision is through some daily and weekly practices. And so I want to share with you what they are. The first practice that I use is daily hypnosis or meditation, depending on the day and depending on what I'm working on. But at least daily, I listen to a hypnosis track, and I'm not talking about people on stage that are acting like chickens, okay? I listen to a hypnosis track that is helping to reprogram the subconscious stories and the subconscious beliefs that I have about my life and my success and my business, myself. Or I meditate, which is a newer thing for me because, you know, a few months ago, I didn't think I was the sort of person who could meditate because I was constantly overthinking and my brain was going on steroids. But every day I either listen to a hypnosis track or I do some kind of simple meditation. Sometimes it is literally 5 or 10 minutes, but it anchors me in the vision of where I want to go. And it does that work to the stories that I've got going on underneath that I need to do in order to be able to achieve what I'm doing. At the very beginning, I also was listening to some tracks for brain priming. Okay, so there was a morning and an evening track, and I found out about this amazing lady, Dr. Shannon Irvine, on the Mind Your Business podcast with James Wedmore. And I signed up for her freebie and I downloaded her tracks, and I will pop the link in to the show notes. Because when I've talked about this with people recently, they've been really interested to find out about this, because these tracks are only 2 or 3 minutes, and you listen in the morning and you listen in the evening. And it basically sets you up for your vision for the day. And then it helps you wind down with gratitude in the evening. Okay. So that's another thing that I was doing a lot of early on. Now that I have my own hypnosis that I'm working through each day, because I'm working with my coach and I'm doing hypnosis as part of my process, that's what I'm listening to. Another thing that I do every day is I practice gratitude. Now, for some people, this is a journal. And when I first started doing my gratitude, I did it as a journal. And I would write in my journal 5 things every night that I was grateful for from the day. There's other ways to do gratitude. It can simply be getting up each morning and just being grateful for the little things that are around you. It can be going to bed at night, and before you go to bed, just saying to your partner, these are 3 things I'm really grateful for today. But basically what I did was start to just get serious about being thankful for what I actually had and appreciating what I actually had. And remembering to actually live now rather than trying to live as my future self. Because to cut a very long story short, I have had a very long battle with anxiety. And anxiety is rooted in this idea that you are constantly living towards the future, and you're thinking about the future and you're worrying about what is coming. And so gratitude has really helped me to kind of anchor myself in the present. So practicing some sort of gratitude is absolutely something that I'm doing on a daily and weekly basis to help me get my mindset robust to be able to build a business, and also to keep me anchored to the vision that I have. What else do? I do a bit of journaling. And journaling is something I'm really coming to actually quite love. Originally, it wasn't really my thing. And for some people, they prefer to speak. For some people, they prefer to write. We all have our different ways of learning, but journaling has been really great for me. And sometimes it's just as simple as, writing a line at the top of the page and just saying, how am I feeling today? And then just getting into it and just starting to write out some things and see what's going on for me. And what comes up when I just write freely and allow my mind to just wander and bring to the surface what it is that I'm thinking about. So journaling has been a really, really great one. Another thing that I've been doing consistently over the last few months is that I have gotten back into reading. And I am very carefully picking the things that I am reading. And I am picking books that are going to challenge me, that are going to encourage me, and that are going to give me ideas and practices and stories that will work together to build my mindset. Some have been inspirational books about inspirational leaders. Some have been quite specific books. Right now, I am reading Gabby Bernstein's book, Super Attractor. So I've been trying to actually set aside time every day or every couple of days to actually read, because my pre-kid self, I loved to read. I absolutely loved to read. And one thing I had noticed is that as I got busier and busier and busier, that is something that had totally gone by the wayside. So I have definitely brought back in the practice of setting aside some time to read a book. And I've been deliberately choosing things that stretch my mindset. For some people, though, this might be a place where you want to set aside time to just read a novel and actually just escape from everything. And that's your self-care practice when it comes to reading. But that's another thing that I've done that has really, really helped. So I'm doing the hypnosis and the meditation. I'm doing some journaling. I spoke to you about the brain priming. We've spoken about quite a few different things that I have done. The other thing that I have been doing, and this connects into this idea of casting your vision and making sure that you're keeping yourself anchored to that vision every day, is I use a lot of visualization. And see, there's this interesting thing about our brain, and that is that when we visualize something, our brain experiences it almost as if it has happened. And so becoming confident and feeling safe to reach for big goals can be really difficult because it brings up a lot of fear. And fear is just our brain's mechanism basically to take care of us, okay? And to stop us from dying, really. But when we do new things, we feel the fear, we feel the worry, we feel the anxiety. And so a really great way to keep anchored into your vision, but also to deal with the feelings that come up when you set such a massive vision for yourself and your life, is to be constantly visualizing that. So I have a practice where at least once a day, sometimes multiple times a day, I will literally just take a moment, close my eyes, take a couple of deep breaths, and I will visualize what I want my life to look like, or I will visualize this specific goal that I am aiming for. And I will literally visualize that coming to life and being as it is, and I will feel the emotions and feel the feelings that come up for me. And I will just lean into all of those feelings. Because by doing that, I am just introducing those ideas to my brain. I'm allowing the fear to come up to the forefront so that I can deal with it and I can see like what it is that I'm worried about. But I'm also creating patterns in my brain where my brain is starting to get used to this idea that that is where I want to be. It's starting to imagine that I'm already there. And that is super powerful when it comes to actually bringing that vision to life. So visualization has become a really big part for me. I am a visual creative person, so the visualization works. For other people, they want to write about it. They might want to speak about it. They might want to cast their vision and turn it into a recording and listen to it. Whatever works for you, but the visualization works so incredibly well for me. The final piece that I want to talk to you about, because I said it was just going to be a few tools, but in the end, it's just been a dump of everything that has been working for me to be able to really explode my business. The final thing that I want to talk about is choosing to surround myself with people who think the same way as me and have similar goals to me. I joined a mastermind back at the end of March. And there are 25 amazing ladies inside that mastermind, and they all have big dreams. They are all talking about their mindset, talking about their strategy, talking about their journeys. And being surrounded by those ladies that are having those same conversations, that are going through those same up levels that I'm going through, the same fears are coming up, that are willing to actually have open and honest conversations about the hard bits and share what works for them and how they've moved through things, that has seriously upped the game for me in terms of my business. So if you do not have a support network around you of people that are helping you with your business, that are doing similar things, that can give you ideas that you can bounce things off of, that can be your cheerleaders and your supporters, but also call you out on the BS, the stories, the fear, all of those things that are holding you back from ultimately being able to have the impact and income that you want. If you don't have that right now, you need to go and find it. It can be as simple as some business besties, some buddies that are also building businesses that you just have there to chat to. I have found that the best way to do it is to join something like a mastermind where everybody is working on their stuff, everybody's on the same page. And there's that group environment where you can really cheer each other on and support each other. And it opens up so many networking opportunities, podcast opportunities, guesting opportunities, all of those kinds of things, as well as just having this collective of people that are willing to do the work. So if you don't have that, I would really suggest that you make it a priority to go out and find that, whether free or paid. So they are some of the tools that I've been using on a daily and weekly basis to bring my vision to life. And to life, it has come in a very short period of time. It is my job now over the next day or so to cast my vision for the rest of 2020. And I am going to do exactly what I did back at the beginning of this process. And I'm going to write a letter as if it is December 31st, 2020 to my current self, and let that current self know exactly what my life looks like on the 31st of December, everything that I have accomplished, how I am feeling about that, what I am doing, and who I am being in order to be able to have the level of success that I know I am going to be having by the 31st of December. And honestly, when I think about casting that vision, there's a little bit of the like, wow, this could be some big stuff. But I also know that the power in casting that vision is exactly what I have just experienced over the last few months. And it's going to be absolutely freaking amazing. So I invite you to cast your vision. I invite you to get into the show notes and grab some of the links to resources that I'm going to pop in there. I invite you to really open up to the idea that doing business is not just about strategy. It is equal parts strategy, mindset, and support. If you've taken something away from this episode, if there's something that I have talked about that you're like, yes, that is what I am going to do, I would absolutely love for you to share that with me over on Instagram. Create an Instagram story, tag me at Social Strategy Mum, and let me know what the takeaway is, what you're planning to do differently, and whether maybe you are now going to go and cast your vision for the second half of 2020 or whenever it is that you're listening to this podcast episode. I would love to connect with you over on Instagram, and I'll talk to you guys again next week with another episode of the Social Strategy Mum podcast and live show. See ya.